Welcome to the Enlightened Musician Podcast, a podcast all about the music business and learning how to turn your art into an equally successful business, flipping the mentality of a starving artist into a profitable, sustainable career. Each week, we will interview someone that is excelling in their field and talk tips and tricks on how you can implement that for yourself. Because honestly, how can you know what you don't know until you've been enlightened? Welcome to another episode of the Enlightened Musician Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Light, and I'm so excited to finally bring you this episode. I recorded this back in January 2020 with my good friend and also the co-owner of twoOHsix Music. We had actually just kind of started doing the company, and Alex actually left his day job to pursue doing Alex Helton Productions full-time as well. So I think it's really cool to look back because if you see him now, he's just killing the game, and it's cool to look back a year and see where you come from. But we also talk about getting started out and doing music full time and how, I guess, hard that is. And a lot of times in music, we like to just pretend like it's all fine and it's just quick and smooth selling. So I think this is a great episode for everyone. You're going to learn about that. You're going to learn about vocal production, and we're just going to have a good time because Alex is a fun time. So without further ado, here's Alex Helton. All right, so I'm so excited to have my good friend Alex Helton on today. And you guys have been asking just a little bit of information on vocal production. And I thought, who better to bring on than the expert himself, who actually started his own course. And we're going to actually dive into a whole bunch of things that go into vocal production and how to do it yourself at home, not just at a studio. So, Alex, one thing that's really cool about you is I know that you are kind of like the on-demand producer that people all over the US and the world, actually, because I know Australia has been recently, have been using. So you don't have the luxury of everyone coming into your studio, and you have to get vocals from all over the world. Tell me what all that takes and why you started the course.
Let's see. That does take a lot. It has been interesting working with people outside of the studio. I don't always get the best quality of recordings. Obviously, if my hands aren't on it, I'm going to be like, oh, I want some tweaks here and there. But I usually can give some basic notes on how to best prepare your vocals for anyone that's going to be using them. Yeah, remotely or otherwise. And that is weird that you've got me like a little off now, because it's just like you're talking about me like, people are working with me across the world and whatnot. I'm like, I guess like Canada, Germany, whatnot.
You got to give credit where credit's due. I was doing something the other day and I was talking about being a national touring artist, and it felt very weird. And I was like, well, that's true. So, I mean, you got to give yourself credit. You're national, or is it national or universal producer? That's your new title. You're welcome.
I'm working with people on different planets, yo. It's the best. Let's see. I do have a course that goes over not necessarily the vocal production, but the vocal capturing the best vocal moments. It's mostly the recording process, and it goes through like the stuff you need. And I give different price points on microphones, interfaces, pop filters, things that'll isolate your vocal for you so that you don't need a vocal booth.
So about a year and a half ago, or year and a half, 2 years, I actually started doing production at home. And it's been one of the biggest game changers doing my vocals at home. But starting off brand new, you don't even know where to start. You don't even know things such as within your room and the climate and the do's and don'ts. If you were to talk to someone that is just making the transition of going into a studio, recording vocals, and deciding, hey, I want to start recording at home, what is the first couple steps that they need to take to start producing vocals that you would even take?
Assuming they already know that they need to get a DAW and a computer. If it's vocals for singing, they need a condenser microphone. I'm using a dynamic one. For podcasting, they should use dynamic. If they're going to be doing singing, condenser microphone, so you can get more of the expressiveness of the vocal. You can get some more highs and lows. It's a more sensitive microphone. Get yourself an interface. Again, the course that I have goes through like different price points for interfaces. You can get one as cheap as like $100 if you really don't want to break the bank. I do recommend the more expensive ones. You don't have to go crazy with it, but like there's the Apollo Twin, which I recommend on so many levels. Go nuts. You need obviously a mic stand. You can't be holding your microphone. It's not the same as a live performance, obviously. Pop filter to stop the P's and the B's and all the other plosives from getting into your microphone. I really recommend, I can't think of what they're called. I'm just thinking of vocal isolator. It's the Altron PF8, I want to say.
You guys can't see, but he's actually walking over to find out what it's called.
Yep, and I was correct. Go
That's
me.
what matters.
Right? It is significantly cheaper. I bet $1 million that you've seen the Chaotica eyeball advertisements if you're in music at all, if you're a singer especially. Those things cost $200, I believe. And then there's this Altron PF8 made in like China, and it is $30. To me, they work pretty much exactly the same, just as well as each other. Don't bother spending $200. And there's like, you can go check it out online. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that'll compare them if you want, but I've compared them and it sounds the same to me. So, and I'm apparently the professional vocal producer. So here we go.
Talked about this a lot, and I know I've sent stems and things the wrong way. What are some things that you get that are just a red flag, could be a quick fix when people are sending you vocals? After everything's done, what do you as a producer want to see in your inbox? And what you do not want to see?
I think it's easier. Yeah, I think it's easier if I say the things that I don't want to see, or if I can go through the things that I receive where it's just like, oh, no. One of the main things is when you're recording, I would talk to the producer beforehand to figure out like a distance from the microphone that they want. Typically for something a little more intimate, you'll want to get as close to the microphone as possible. I hope this gets a little muffly just for funsies. But for almost anything else, you're going to be at least 4 to 6 inches away from the microphone to give some space so that you don't have to worry so much about your plosives and whatnot. But when you're recording, once you've chosen that spot to sing from that distance, because what'll happen is 9 times out of 10, you're sending them not just your initial take, but doubles and harmonies and things like that. If each take has a different distance and is clearly like you can hear that one is coming from way back here and another one is all up close, like they got real into it and they started going for it, you need to really stay the same distance from the microphone, please, because it's just so difficult to mix that in. It's to have that back and forth and to have it so that things don't pop out here and there. It gets a little messy. So that's number one. Number two, if you're recording doubles, I would recommend taking your favorite take, have it play back while you're recording the doubles so that your performance is pretty much the same as that other one. Otherwise, you're going to end up with breaths in different places, and that's impossible to edit. You'll have it so that it's just different inflections, and it's almost impossible to make them into doubles. That'll end with you having to redo takes. I'm trying to think of other things that I get. Clipping is a problem. You do
and what
not...
is clipping for anyone that doesn't know what clipping is?
That's when this input signal of your vocal is going beyond the limit of the microphone, or even if you have a preamp and you're using the preamp, it could be clipping there. And then it could also clip inside your dot. Like it's when the signal is too much for the application and you can actually audibly hear the clipping. It's usually, can I create it? I scream into this microphone.
You guys, you've been warned.
So that should clip, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. That's what clipping sounds like. It's not pretty and you cannot get rid of it.
I think a lot of people think producers are like little magical wizards that can just fix that. And a lot of it, as you're talking about too, and we'll go back into it, is that you as the singer have a couple of things that you just have to do because producers can't fix what's completely wrong. So,
exactly. You're providing the materials and it's like, oh, let's see. It would be like asking a contractor to build you a home, and instead of bringing them perfectly cut treated wood from Home Depot from the section that's made for building a home, you went to the beach and picked up driftwood. Like no one's
It's still
building a
garbage.
nice exactly, it's garbage. It's wood. It's technically wood, yes, but it's not going to make a great home. And the person can do their best to make a home out of it, but it's just not every part of the music making process matters, essentially. So every little thing you want to have as good as possible. Yes, a lot can be fixed in post when you're a decent producer or a talented producer. Once you know what you're doing, there are things you can fix. There are things that you can cover up. But it's preferable if you don't have to do those things. If the take is already perfect and ready to go, so much more energy can be spent on creating an epic track that just really supports that, or the mix itself that makes everything sit perfectly.
Because I think you want to make the producer's job the easiest it can be. And you even talked about doubles too. In his course, it's really straightforward and it's really great just to be able to walk straight through and visually see what's happening and have PDFs that kind of match everything. So it's very easy if you're wanting to take that step into this world to easily walk through it and feel like someone's coaching you one-on-one. So I do love that you do that. Let's just kind of get away from the vocal takes a little bit. I kind of want to hear about some of the stuff that you've been working on this year. So I'm going to ask you a personal question. What has been one of your favorite things that you've gotten to work on this year, Mr. Universal Producer?
Interesting.
I asked on the spot.
My favorite, this is so, no, it's just so typical. My favorite thing that I'm working on is typically the last thing that I worked on. Like,
It always
it's not,
me too.
I don't, exactly. So, like, just recently, I co wrote this song called Soaked in Gold, and these funky little bass licks, and then this like trap beat that comes out of nowhere for the chorus. And then I sang on it, which I never do. Like, I don't like singing. Thanks. And also thank you for the kind words about the course. Yes. I'm like all smiles right now. This is the best. I need to go on more podcasts. God, there's been so much, but it's been nice. The majority, if not all, of the artists that I've worked with this year, it's been really rewarding and really awesome because I get to work with these talented people who are providing me with quality recordings, or they're coming to my studio and allowing me to do that process for them, and loving the work that I do and providing constructive criticism when it's necessary to fix it so that it sounds like the best work it can be. Very little ego. Don't bring ego to the table ever. No one, like, it's about the song. It's about the song. Let the song have all the ego. Soaked in Gold, though, like, back to that song, it's a fun time. I do falsetto through the majority of it, and then the choruses are this pitched down vocal, so it's like this juxtaposition the whole time, and I don't know. I just like it. I like it, even though I'm singing on it. Ew.
No, it's going to sound amazing. And you probably heard of the very first of the conversation. We actually own a licensing company together. So I will hear that pretty soon. I'm so excited about that. And Alex contributes so much to the company as well. And it's been a really fun adventure. They get to do a little bit more than me being on the East Coast. But kind of tell me some of the fun adventures recently you've gotten to have via just starting a company. Like, that's a huge overtaking. It's a whole new process to learn.
An over undertaking. I over undertook it. That's what I did. It's been nuts. It's been insane because technically I started 2 companies this year. Like, I was producing, but I wasn't treating it like a production business, and now it's a business and I'm doing it full time. And now I'm also doing this 2:06.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, congratulations.
I don't know what you said. I was talking. Oh,
I said
yeah, thank
congratulations.
you. It is interesting. That is where I'll leave that. But
yeah, for everyone listening, when you start full time, the first year is interesting. That's a good word for it. But it's going to become amazing.
I feel like I should say that. I feel like I should warn people because it's like you hear a lot about if you're doing what you love, then it's never a day of work, but it's a lot of work. it's not always fun because there are things that you have to do that aren't the best or the most entertaining. And also the hustle and the grind can
Mhm.
be a lot. It's unexpected, even, I don't know. So I obviously recommend chasing your dreams and pinning them down and then devouring them because they're yours and you can have them. But yeah, just expect to hustle, expect to work hard.
Too, within this industry, we all just make like little highlight reel of going out full time is like the game changer. And after you go full time, it's just such smooth sailing, and no one would like to let on how much of a struggle it is. Like I've mentioned, I don't know if I've ever told you the first time I went full time, I literally sat and sobbed in a parking lot because I couldn't even afford cables because I'd started my band and was trying to be professional. And I went inside and like my card got declined and I went and sat in a car and like just bawled. And we don't talk about stuff like that. But I mean, now it's, after trial and error and failing, you know what I mean? So I think it's good to address that and like let people know the first little bit's going to be tough, but if you hang in there, it's so rewarding. But yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you for doing that.
I, s-
And you're
I still
killing
gotta
it.
wait. I feel like there are some rewards. I gotta be honest. There have been rewards already, but like I'm waiting for that feeling of just like this is a rewarding process. And I'm sure it's gonna ebb and flow, but yeah, I'm still on that struggle bus that this is very new for me. I want to say almost 2 decades of either school and a full-time job or like part-time full. It's just very structured living for almost 2 decades. And then all of a sudden it's you're on your own. It's just like,
I'm
okay,
searching the good.
yeah, yep. So brand new feelings, brand new
No,
feelings.
but I think you're doing great. And, honestly and truly talking about your production, you've been like knocking so many different things out of the ballpark and you've really gone into different areas as well. So, kind of talk about some of the different production avenues, like the different genres you ventured into. Cause I know you started at one place talking about with your company and now you've made it a company. So, what all is involved in Alex Helton Productions?
In Helton Productions or in 206 Helton Productions? We'll talk Helton Productions. I will talk both because it is a combination of the two. I'm using my Helton Productions to boost 206. I'm using the skills that I'm and connections that I'm garnering to fuel our little ship. So 206 Music has been a fun little adventure in that I get to work with three talented and amazing singer songwriters, Lauren included, who do have very different styles and very different genres and very different vibes. And what's cool is, as a producer, the fact that I get that leeway to venture into different genres. As an artist, I feel, and it's not true of all artists, but as an artist, you have a specific brand that you need to stick to for at least an album cycle to really communicate properly with your fan base so that they know, oh, when I'm looking for this kind of music, I go to Lauren Light. And when I'm looking for this kind of music, I go find Chelsea Coy. And when I go for this kind of music, I go for Megan Mahela/Lee. I'm just gonna, yep.
I love
Name
that.
drop in. Name drop it.
Name dropping. Not saying that we awesome, but
We awesome. But it's been, I don't know how to describe it. You would think it'd be challenging, but it was only fun because it
Mhm.
feels like, at least the way that I approach a song, I hear the vocal that we've come up with or that the artist has come up with, and I dig into that. The vocals have always been the most important part of a song to me because I grew up writing poetry and writing songs. I did not grow up producing. That's not where this all started. So when I fall in love with a song, it's because of the lyrics and the melody. It's not because that bass line, yo, ooh. So I've always approached production in a way that best supports the vocal. And that it comes out in so many different ways. It can come out in this genre. It can come out like we may have started writing a country song for all I know. And all of a sudden I'm making this trap beat underneath it because it feels like it's going to give the vocal that space to breathe or to really stand out and be interesting and different. And then with 206, what's cool is we get these briefs that come out of left field. It's not like I'm already working with an artist that makes this sound. It's, hey, we need this sound. Oh, I don't have it. Let me see if I can pump it out in 24 hours, which I love. Honestly, I love it. I love it. It makes me feel like back in the day with like school or my full-time job, I have an official assignment, and I'm going to nail it. I'm going to knock it out of the park right now. That has been challenging because it's like I'm simultaneously creating the vocal and the support for the vocal. Like both sides of my brain have to work at the same time. And I need to be thinking about the mix while I'm doing the production. I'm using all corners of my brain at once. So it's just like, woo, a blast.
Yeah, but it's stretching you. And I think honestly and truly, when you step outside what you've been doing, you become better at everything else you weren't doing. So all your production has already been excellent and then just added excellent into all the other genres too. So you're doing good.
Thank you. Thank
But
you. I
yeah,
love this. I love this. Is this what podcasts are? It's just like me feeling great.
well, I only
I
bring
love it.
people on that I love and adore. So what would happen if I brought people I hated on and was like, all right, let's talk about how awful you are.
Right. You've done a poor job at almost everything this year. And I just think that you should know. So for an
You should
hour,
have
we're going to
me
talk
highlighted
about.
just to talk about how terrible you are. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. So actually just talking about you, what is goals that you want to reach this year? What's obtainable to you?
I want to make exactly the same amount of money or more that I was making with my daytime job. That would be awesome. I can't tell if I'm on track for that or not because I know that I'm hitting the quota that I told myself I wanted to hit per month, but it wasn't meant to match what I was making. But honestly, I've picked up way more gigs than I anticipated. It seems to be on an upward trajectory. And I realize with this industry, it's up, down, left, right. So, but right now, I'm just going to pretend that it can only go up. And that's where we're going. I want, let's see, I can think in terms of, let's see, twoOHsix. I want us to get to a point where we are functioning more like a licensing agency and less like a collective. I want us to be representing more artists and helping them. I want to find ways to be more helpful to the community, both the artist community and just like my community in general. I feel like I need to be giving back more. So like I'm going to find ways to give back more. That's a goal for the year. Ah,
Yes. And next time I have you on the
yeah.
podcast, we'll be able to talk about some of the stuff that we've already behind the scenes talk about, and you can promote it.
All
Done.
right.
There's your actionable goal.
Woo-hoo.
No, I love it. And I think so many things that you've already said can really help any artist that's listening right now because what you were talking about too of creating a difference for people that are on different levels than you or coming up or at the same level as you. This is a podcast to really encourage them and help them know they're not alone and that there's other artists out there and other producers that are like, let's do this together. We've been working on it. Here's what I've been going through. Here's what you can do. And all the actionable steps that you've said have been really good. So let's actually just kind of talk about one more thing and we're going to wrap it up. What are some things and advice that you would give to someone kind of just starting out in the music realm, just from your own personal
As a
experience that
producer,
would have helped Alex starting
I
out? It's
would
a big question.
recommend. It is a big question, and I think I can figure out how to answer it. I still don't do it enough, so that's why I'm like hesitant to say it, but like networking is super important. Building connections with people is super important. And I don't mean it in the sterile sense. That's okay. There we go. There's a big one. When I started out, I thought networking meant like, how can I find people that can help me? And that's just the worst way to go about networking. It is the worst way to go about life, period. With me, the best networking I've done, I hate that it's called networking. It's friend building. Honestly, you go places
Oh,
to find people who are in a similar environment as you. They have similar aspirations, and you get along. That is the best. That's been the best for me. It's been the best for my companies to find those people that just you click with. You can't force clicking with someone.
Mhm.
It's just not going to happen. There's no amount of like bribery that creates friendship. You know what I mean? It's either it fits or it doesn't. So get out there and start talking to strangers to find the strangers that you can connect with. Do not be afraid of talking to people who are more talented than you or who have gotten further than you. That's where you're going to learn the most. And if you end up being really good friends, they could end up being some sort of mentor for you. Find a mentor if you can. That's another, like in the same vein of the networking thing. Find someone who's better than you on purpose. That's what you should be aiming for, because if you get along with this person that's better than you, they have advice and they have insight that you do not have and you cannot get without either having to go through the experiences yourself, which can take time, or learning from someone else. What else did young Alex not do that he should have done?
You're killing it right now, because that was one of the things that I learned this year too. I think you really have to learn that people work with their friends. So when you're networking, you're building your friend circle. And I loved what you called it too, because when it's all about yourself, you can only take it but so far. But when you pull people into your circle that you can help them and they can help you and then be mentored, and it's a whole different ballpark. Like you're in the game.
Yeah, add value as much as you can. And
Mhm.
that's always this elusive. I don't like it when I hear there are people that I follow. Obviously, I enjoy their stuff. So like Gary Vaynerchuk, or whatever his last name is, this crazy entrepreneur dude says things like create content and add value. And they're super elusive because obviously they pertain to your specific field and your specific like attributes that you can add value with. But I don't know. You just have to, you can't go in thinking, how can I get help? It's how can I better this person's life? How can I better this person's business? And it can be as simple as a joke, honestly, is what I've found. It can just be making someone laugh that day when they just expected to get another email about how someone could get help from them. Instead, you turn it around and you go, haha, now you're laughing. Now you love me. That feels good.
I think everything you said is spot on, and I feel like it's definitely a line of what I'm feeling the exact same way as well. You've covered everything on starting out and vocal production and starting out on your own. Obviously, the course, I'm going to link that within the show notes. Thanks so much for being on today. You've just been a wealth of knowledge and
Thank
always a
you
good
for
time.
having me.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Enlightened Musician podcast. Make sure to visit our website, theenlightenedmusician.com, where you can subscribe to the show on your platform of choice so you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, this is Lauren Light.